Welcome to the Red Alert Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Chapp, along with my co-host, Cindy Berry. And Cindy, last week we did a podcast, but this week you're a movie star. So I want you to tell the people because we might lose you. We might lose you. So,
Well, I can't say that I'm a movie star. I have friends who are movie stars, and I was on set this week.
lies.
Yeah, I was on set this weekend. My one of my good friends is a couple of them actually are filming a really cool sci-fi thriller here in Detroit and in the Detroit area. And so I was on some kind of scary movie sets because it's a little bit of a horror flick, but it was a lot of fun. And we had some of our other sports celebrity friends stopping by. So I saw Tommy the Hitman Hearns, who came on set today, my little friend Tommy Hearns, and I saw Darren McCarty this weekend. We brought him on set for a little while to meet some of the folks, and my sweet friend Bianca Van Dam is starring in that. That is Jean-Claude Van Damme's daughter, and she is fabulous. I just want everyone to know that. Watch for her. She is getting ready to break out, and she is fantastic. She's great in these movies, and I can't wait to see her debut. So anyway, yeah, so I was kind of hanging out with some celebs. I don't know if I was on set, but I don't know if we're gonna make the cut, but it was all good.
I think you'll make the cut. I'm not sure if you're gonna make the cut totally, but we'll see how it goes.
We'll see. My good friend Darren McCarty, a friend to all of us, we know very well, and he gave a great show. He had several shows this weekend. His comedy tour. If you happen to see it, he tells some fantastic stories. If you really want to hear about what happens behind the scene in 1997, 98, 02, and 08 when we won the cups, you want to go see Darren's show because he tells you things you don't hear anywhere else, and it's a great time. So if you see that out there, go out there and grab one. He was sold out when I was there. They had to bring in a table for me. So bless their hearts. Out there at T's Rockin' Roadhouse is where I was at out there in just north of Richmond, out there in Columbus. So great time. It's all good. Did we lose you, Joe? Did he leave me all alone to tell you everything that I want to tell you about Red Wing hockey and what we expect to see coming up?
Here.
There you are. See, you're going to leave me all alone. Just try to entertain. I just got to sit here and smile, right?
Yeah, I lost you for a minute. My computer was going haywire for a minute. I couldn't switch out of some of the things. It was kind of like the last Red Wing season where like I couldn't make a line change.
You just couldn't get it together, right?
No, you know what? I can never get. It's like a Jeff Blashill coach team. Like I'm just struggling to get started. So I'm kind of like a little bit, we're gonna finish this well, unlike a Jeff Blashill team. So we're gonna get this all set.
That's right. We're gonna be we're like the all new Red Wings. That's what we're talking about. They're talking about the Red Wings being the all new look of the Red Wings, and I think they're just talking about the fact that we've got a lot of new guys that are on the roster this year, and I think that's going to bode very well for us. It's not even a question for me if we're going to make the playoffs. I think we're absolutely going to make the playoffs. Don't know how deep we're going to get, and we might squeak in there, but the reality is that we have guys on the roster now who are used to making the playoffs. It's almost like they expect it. And I think it's a matter of those expectations that are changing. Before we had a lot of the new guys or the young guys, which were great, but a lot of them, I think people were expecting them to make the roster. I think people expected to see Simon Evanson in the roster. They might have expected to see Elmer Soderblom, and they're in Grand Rapids. And I think there's a reason for that. And we can talk about that later, of what I think Stevie's ultimate plan and goal is, and how he's starting off his season on his 22-man roster.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? So I did some digging, and I wanted to leave you with this stat I wanted to show you this stat. So I'm going to show you the stat right now. This is what they gained and what they are getting out of the players that they have. So they're the players that came into the Detroit Red Wings, like DeBrincat, like Sprong. It's 96 goals. The players that went out was 47 goals. That's a 49 goal difference in the plus differential. And if you do the goal differential compared to 2022, that's plus 10, and that would have put you in the probably around. I think it would have put you above Florida in the goal differential department. Now, the one thing we could say about this team compared to last year's team is I think they have more depth in net. which is needed because with Nedeljkovic not playing the way he was supposed to be playing, like they really thought he was going to be a good player, to them going on waivers and getting Magnus Hellberg. And you know how I felt about Hellberg. I wasn't a big fan of Hellberg at all.
No, not a fan.
But Hellberg served a purpose. He didn't do as good as a job as I would hope. And I don't think he did as good a job as Stevie Y was going to hope, or maybe Derek Lalonde. And that's why they went out and got Alex Lyon and James Reimer. And I'm not a big James Reimer fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think that he can help this goalie depth, especially with Alex Lyon. I think Alex Lyon could be the pickup of the whole season.
Well, that's an interesting take. I mean, I wouldn't say – I think the goaltender situation is definitely in an improved status than it was last year. And that's going to, in and of itself, going to give us a better chance, especially the deeper we get into the season. But what I'm excited about really is, as you pointed out, that goal differential, pointing out guys who we picked up a lot of goal scorers. And so we're going to put more points up on the board. And that's really what it's going to take to get us where we need to go. So we need to get, my estimation, we need to get to at least 40 wins, and we've got to decrease the number of overtimes that we're going into. Because if you take a look, I took a look at some stats myself, Joe, and one of the things I noticed is, when did the Red Wings are kind of hanging tough, and then when did they tank? And they tanked in like 2017, right? 2016, 2017. Yeah. So what happened there? Well, we lost two key players, two key goal scorers in Pavel Datsyuk and Heinrich Zetterberg. And we lost those guys within like 2017, 2018, right? And
so a year apart, yeah.
Right. And Zetterberg really wasn't playing to his full potential or what he could have really done in that last year anyway, because he had that lower back injury that he was dealing with, right? And so that eventually kind of forced his retirement. So, or at least it stopped him from playing. He actually officially retired when his contract expired. Right. But the point is that we had not replaced, up until now, a Zetterberg or a Datsyuk. And I'm not saying we necessarily have that and say DeBrincat and Comfer, but we certainly, as you pointed out, have made up some ground there.
Yeah, I think with Alex DeBrincat coming over, I think that gives you a goal scorer that can help you out and score goals. But where I really want to focus in on, and I have this graphic too, last year around this time, you were 240 goals, 24th in the league. You had 279 goals against, which is 23rd in the league. You're not making the playoffs like that. But if you look at the power play and the penalty kill, the guys that you added, Alex DeBrincat, the guys that you added like Daniel Sprong, Shane Gotthespierre, I think they're going to help you on the power play. And I think the penalty kill is going to get the benefit, because you're not going to put your guys out there like Seider and Wallman, and they're not going to be asked to play heavy minutes on the penalty kill. I think last year there was a discrepancy between, so the power play, the guys that played in the power play, most of the time they played in the penalty kill, which is very abnormal. But the reality of the situation is they didn't trust anybody else. So that was a major look back at what I've seen, because like I went back at some of these game charts, and it was Larkin, it was Kopp, it was Perron on the penalty kill. And if you're putting them on the penalty kill and they're not allowed to, and they're going out there for the power play too, and they're playing their line minutes, I mean you're stressing them thin. And Derek Lalonde said this on 97 on the ticket today. He said, we had Ville Husso playing some heavy minutes that he wasn't even expected to play, but we had to play him because we didn't have any goaltending beneath him. So I think it's the same for the forwards and the defensemen, because if you're going to add some depth, that's what everyone's talking about on the Detroit Red Wings side, is they're talking about depth, the depth that they have. And if you look at some of the lines that they can create with this team, I mean, you got to love what they're creating right now.
Well, it's certainly one of the reasons why depth is so important, is so that you don't burn out your guys who are out there, spending all this time on the ice, and there's tons of minutes that they're playing, and there's only so much that you can get, from one person. At some point they're going to burn out. So that helps you address the whole issue of burnout. And it also gives you options when you have injuries, because the Red Wings have also been plagued with some injuries that have been, I don't want to say catastrophic, because maybe it wasn't that great to begin with. So it didn't wreck anything, but it certainly didn't help anything. So I think the depth that we have this year will help mitigate some of the issues we have there.